Can you wipe off your camera?
What?
Your camera?
Was it bad?
Yeah, it's really bad. There you go. Hi, Eric. Hi, Brett. Okay. Johnny, great channel. Nobody ever talks about the barbell hack squat. What is your opinion on this for quads? I do 10 to 15 reps without returning the bar to the floor between reps.
Barbell what?
Hack squat.
Barbell hack squat?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Like the landmine one? I'm very confused.
Me too.
A barbell hack squat. I'm almost thinking the one.
I can't do barbell back. He wrote hack. Okay,
Oh,
it says
back.
it says I can't do barbell back because I don't have a squat rack and I'm an older lifter with lower back situation.
So what should we do?
Start the deadlift bar behind you. Start like deadlift, but bar behind you.
For squatting.
Yeah.
Oh, the barbell hack squat. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Is that like, what's the question? What's the question?
Because nobody ever talks about the barbell hack squat. What is your opinion on this for quads? He does 10 to 15 reps without returning the bar to the floor between reps.
Well, so the problem I have with a barbell back squat is just like all things hack squat is just all things setting it up. So like if I let's say I get one of these. Let's say we use this, and then we're doing this. Or like say we're elevating the feet at least, and then we can at least get this. Like as good as it is, and like, you know, it is loading it a bit, but what about just dumbbells? Right, because you do the same thing with dumbbells and not have to worry about like the setup being so wonky. Plus like progressive overload. So you take like the three things I talk about, like when you do my tier list. One, the full range of motion. Are you gonna get the most amount of muscle accruement through the entire thing? Through the entire lift. Two, progressive overload. So once you've done all things prior to that, like making the set harder, set intensifiers, reps and whatnot, and then we can add weight. Can you add weight fairly seamlessly into progressive overload? Well, the heavier this thing gets, the more awkward it's gonna be to actually do the lift itself. So your limiting factor is gonna be a lot in the limiting factor. Or this grip, range of motion, mobility, all things. So I would say like just if you could just do with dumbbells, it'd be probably better than doing with this. Yeah, and like if you have a leg extension or an actual hack squat, you know, if you have other things, then I would say do that if you have nothing else. But for it to be like a main exercise for quad development, I'd be like, there's better ones if you have those available.
Number one bicep workout.
Huh?
Number one bicep workout.
Number one bicep workout? I like doing preacher curl. I'm a huge preacher curl fan, whether you're doing them in the machine or not, or free weight. I love preacher curl. I get a great stretch, Probably the easiest thing to set up and do. Also, like, you know, lying dumbbell incline curls are really good as well too. You can do them hammer or, you know, supinated, but getting a great stretch from this way and be able to come up, or just a stretch from this way, I find is like my two favorite ways to do it.
When you get blood tests, what do you ask them to check?
If you ask for like a full blood panel, ask for like, yeah, everything testosterone related, so you can get your IGF and whatnot, like all your insulin growth factors checked as well too. And then like, basically like if you just get like a regular blood panel, they'll do everything from, you know, liver, kidney, your creatinine, like everything will be there. Your cholesterol, you know, all that. And then if you ask for like the other things like testosterone, make sure you ask for that, because they're not going to test for it, they're not going to look for it. And then ask for like your IGF, all your insulin, your, growth factors, yada yada yada. Just like everything.
How tall are you?
5'8".
Okay, Johnny, I ask this question a lot. I'm trying to figure out a 4-day split that will help me grow my back specifically. My lats, shoulders, and arms. Please give me some ideas.
Okay, so if you're only able to go to the gym 4 times in a week, which is fine, then we basically make 2 days for sure your back training days. So you can say back first, like you have your, you know, push. You can do a pull, push, legs, and then a pull again, and that'll be your 4-day split. Or you can do a pull, a push and your legs one day, a pull and a push and legs in one day as well. You do that in 4 days. But like I said, if you do it 4 days, prioritize your pulling days, and then you have 4 days to do 2 of those days will be pull days. Sorry.
Back in Norway now. So my question is, it is Kim.
Okay.
On your 5-day split, you have front raises for shoulder day, but said front raise is meh. Something about having front raises.
Oh yeah. So if you have a better exercise for front raise on a shoulder day, then substitute whatever you want for that, right? It could be cable front raise instead. The one we and Doc Mike showed me, where you go from here and basically pull all the way up, with that exaggerated range of motion. Do those instead. Chest support, dumbbell lying front raises as well too. You'll extend a little bit more of the stretch at the bottom. Whatever's available, pick the one on my list that's better.
What do you think about the dead curl?
The who?
Dead curl.
Dead curl? Mm-hmm. It's a dead curl.
I have no idea.
I know a dead stop row, but a dead curl would be.
It's a curl.
If a dead curl means it's being dead stop on something, then it's not gonna be good.
Lying on a bench while curling.
Lying on a bench while curling, like just at the bottom, and then boom, then at the bottom. If you're on a bench, lying on a bench and curling, and you're dead stopping in the stretch, good shit.
Can you show a proper bench press?
Yeah. All right. All right, so go wide enough so you can see my whole setup. Exactly. So this is what I do when I do any bench, right? So a couple things, I'm gonna see where this is at to start. So when I sit down on the bench, and I'll automatically puff my chest up, right? Because from there, with my chest puffed up, I should be able to just extend my elbows and pull this off without this being in the way. So now that this is like, even though I push up, I gotta do this, because at the end of my set, I don't wanna have to do this after. I'd rather be here, extend and go out. I'd rather do that than have to do this, right? So now it's set here, great. I set my feet. I know I'm gonna have to reset my feet again while I'm sitting. So I'm gonna lower myself back, right? I'm gonna pull myself down a little bit. My heels will come down a bit so I can push my hips into my heels. So I'm not gonna be this close to the bar. So I'm gonna push out a bit like this. So now my chest is over top of the bar. From here, I'm gonna set my hands. I might do a little measurement thing where I go for like my thumb like this. Come over this way, yeah. Come over here. Go from the front, yeah. So I'll do this every time so I know where. You got these markers here. From here, I got my thumb at the beginning of the rough. Then I might do one of these, 1, 2, or I might just see where my hand's here, and then I might say ring finger on the first part of the smooth. Now from here, now I'm gonna come a little closer for me. Now from here, I'm gonna get my hands in place, chest puff my chest up, feet are locked in. Now I'm gonna extend up, right, and now pull away. Now when I press, I'm away from the racks and I'm set. Chest up, deep breath in. I'm gonna almost try to balance this thing. Like, watch my hands, I'm open, right? Just so you can see how much balance I have in this. The balance success it has from this going down is my ability to be able to stack my elbows so they stay directly underneath my hands. If my elbows are back this way, this is gonna roll off on my chest, right? So when I'm off here, when I say stack the joints, I'm trying to ensure that my elbows stay underneath my hands the entire time. My chest is here, and then push. Controlling it down, 2, 3. You can see my elbows are straight underneath. If my elbows weren't underneath this, my hands are open, this thing will be falling off into my chest. So elbows, I'm gonna externally rotate a bit. Chest up, elbows are gonna come in a bit, slightly, so they stay right on the outside. So when I lower the weight, down, control, stretch chest, drive. Controlling the weight down. And when I push up, I'm pretending I'm pushing myself into the bench. I'm sinking into it more. I don't want to come down like this and then do this, right? I'm pressing myself into the ground. Down from here, and then it's push. Controlling the weight down, push, and then back. And that's it. Ugh.
What are your thoughts on tibialis raises for the lower leg? Are they effective?
Tibialis raises? Yes, they are. Talk louder. Yes. But yes, 100%. Anything we don't do enough of these exercises. So yeah, anything, if you have, watch yourself. If you have a, machine at the gym that does tibia flexions, for sure, 100%.
If you had to choose a single best exercise for every muscle group, what would they be?
Supinated lat pull downs.
Back.
For back. A good chest, a good vertical machine press for chest that allows you to get incline, but nice stretch to the bottom. It's between the pendulum squat or front foot elevated lunges for quads or just like legs in general. For hamstrings, it's going to be I like lying incline hamstring curls, just isolating the muscle. What else? For biceps, if I gotta pick only one, it's the Atlantis Preacher machine for sure. And then triceps, I'm definitely gonna do a really good tricep machine press for sure.
What are today? Should I master a weight or increase the rate after achieving set and reps goals?
Master your rep. Master being able to control reps without your form getting all effed up. Once you've mastered your form and your ability to control reps no matter what, then you master the amount of sets you have or reps in those sets, max the sets, or the max their sets and reps, and then add weight. And then when you've mastered that weight, after all things have been done prior to that, then we move up. We don't increase weight until we have form down pat, control down pat, and then we've repped everything out first, and then we add weight.
I normally run 4 to 6 miles before strength training. Which should be done first?
I would be strength training first before I'd be running 4 or 5. That's a lot of, running So you wanna go to the gym with some glycogen in your muscles, right? You need glycogen. So if we do a 5-mile run, right, we're gonna utilize that too much of it. So we'll make the pumps and lactic acid stuff that much not as optimal. So I would definitely do that after for sure.
Homie, I am a student and only have dumbbells at home. Got any tips to grow biceps and chest?
That's all you need. If you got a bench, give yourself a bench or whatever, and then do your pressing. And bicep curls, you got a bench. If you have a bench and biceps, you can dominate chest, right? We can do anything. We can do anything incline-wise from flat 15, 30, 45, 65. Then you can fly all of those levels as well too. And then you can do bicep curls incline. You can do bicep curls standing. You can do hammer curls incline. You could use the bench to do preacher curl. You can use a bench to do, anything.
What's the best lats exercise when all you have is dumbbells up to 20 kg?
What's the best exercise to do? Dumbbells?
For lats with up to 20 kg.
The lats?
With dumbbells.
Dumbbells for back with only 20 kg. That's like 45 pounds. Dumbbell pullovers, 100%. That'd be crazy. Dumbbell row. Dumbbell row chest support. Bent over dumbbell row.
If you have problems with mobility with your knees, what could be exercises to, I think what he's saying is, what are some exercises for knee mobility?
What are some exercises for mobility?
If you have problems mobility with your knees, what could be exercises mobility to enforce that?
To help with your knee. I was doing some front foot elevated lunges for sure. Anything where we're getting a good amount of knee flexion, or just like using the dumbbell for weight to help kind of just like weigh you into your stretch. So if you can get to a point where where you can really get your knee over toe and really flexing this here, right? Even if you put your toe up and it's like, if we're doing this, even if we're doing stuff like this, it's totally fine. But we want to like basically like get your knee strong while being in that lunge position, whether you're stationary this way and lunging, or you're like doing a really long lunge or doing like an AT-G lunge. Either way, use a dumbbell to help with like weigh you down into it, will help out. And then just like anything where you're kind of like, working that, your muscle in that stretch point.
What is the best way to get big calves?
To get big calves? Work them often. And hard, and make sure we're stretching. So if we're doing like lunges. If we're doing calf raises, you want to use all the weight you have, your body, whatever, to make sure that we get to this. We want to be like all the way down, like stretching this, and you want to feel like an unbelievable stretch, like here. Milk that all the way up, and then right back down. Hold that stretch it long, drive it back up and down. Use a weight if you need to help pull yourself deeper in that stretch, and then give you more resistance. And literally, like it's there's no secret to this shit. It's just literally being consistent. Do this stuff over and over and over again, and don't stop when you don't see results come as fast. Like when it comes to building muscle and even losing weight, the biggest thing is just being consistent with it. Do that. Like, you want me to hear like a really like scientific answer? It's like literally like, do calf raises, make sure you're in the stretch. Do calf raises, make sure you're in the stretch, and train them two to 4 times a week. If you have weak calves, train them 4 times a week, and continue to do that until some progress happens, and continue to keep doing that.
Is it true on preacher curl at around 100 degrees to 60, there's no tension on the bicep?
Depends on preacher curl. Depends what's going on. If you're on a preacher curl machine and then at the bottom you're just like this, there is no tension anymore. It's just holding this way. So when you have a preacher curl that gives you at least this much of an angle, you're gonna have tension on the bicep.
Take this off. It keeps hitting it and it's making a really loud crackling noise. Hi, bro. If I'm not mistaken, you often show how to do an exercise with 3 sets and only do the first set till failure, the other 2 sets with RIR. Why? Is this better for hypertrophy?
Good question. So the reason why a couple things. Reason why I like putting your failing set at the beginning of the exercise is because when we talk about like creating tension overall, tension is going to happen a couple ways. One, by the load itself. So if I pick up something that's like 90% of a warm-up max, the tension on the muscle is going to be high instantly. But I won't be able to do reps with that weight because it's too big. So when we talk about like hypertrophy, hypertrophy is basically creating tension throughout the weight and the duration. So taking a weight that I can do about 70, 85% of my warm-up max and taking that for a long duration will innately create tension at its highest. So that, say, 40 pounds I use, and if I take 40 pounds for a 10 to 15 reps, and those reps equal 30 to 45 seconds, at the end of my set, tension should be like almost at the highest. Now, if I do my hard set, my failing set at the beginning of my workout, that means that everything else after that, tension will be at its highest, rather than kind of building up to it. Regardless, after your first hard set, or like I would say, sorry, failing set, tension is going to be at its highest, or it'll be easier to get to tension at its highest for the rest of your workout anyway. So that's why I like putting that there. Also, I do also like putting your heart or your failing set at the beginning of the workout, because when you're then going to judge what an RIR is, so if you want to do like 2 reps from failure, how are you going to really judge that if you haven't done a set to failure yet?
How do you feel about ring training for hypertrophy?
Absolutely great. Make sure you're doing them right, but rings are just like another accessory, just like D handles. Gives the ability to kind of, just isolate the muscle with a different tool.
Machines or dumbbells, or mix them both?
Mix of both.
Pendulum squat versus hack squat.
Pendulum all day long.
Which one is better?
Pendulum.
Best exercise to have maximum tension in the shortened range for chest?
Exercise, tension, short range for chest. Flies. Cable in the stretch.
Do you recommend 2 meals a day for caloric deficit?
What?
Do you recommend 2 meals a day for
No,
caloric
I recommend
deficit?
eating in a deficit, but making sure you're spreading out your protein between at least 3 to 5 meals. So if you're in a deficit, doesn't really matter what deficit you're in, make sure you're eating at least 3 meals, because you want proper protein distribution throughout the entire day, which will optimize muscle protein synthesis.
Which workout split do you currently follow?
I got a lot of work to do split. Give me a sec. Basically, I'm on a 4 to 6 day split, meaning however I'm feeling, depending on how my body recovers, I could be doing 6 days. If it's not feeling that good, then I end up doing 4 days. So I'm doing like a push-pull legs. So that means I have 2 days for push, 2 days for back, 2 days for all of them. So because of my hip, I don't train that day, because I only train them once a week. And then the other days, I might decide if my back isn't recovered as much as it should be, or my upper, or my push day, then I'll take one of those days, the second day off, if I have to.
What is the difference between the different leg machines? Pendulum, hack, leg press?
Great. All right, so give you guys an easy idea. All machines that are kind of like vertical, everything like tension is at its greatest down here, right? So at the bottom of squats, hack squats, even pendulum, down here tension is high. As we go up for any exercise, whether it's hack squats or back squats or machine squats, it gets easier when you're standing up, because force vector tension on the pendulum squat, the pendulum, the way it's designed, is that tension is equally heavy here as it is equally heavy here, 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 and here. Because of how they made this machine, the weight being behind you, right, and by your shoulders, and on the way down as you go, it still stays above you. and it stays almost above and behind, which causes more tension on the way down and up. So it's always going to be heavy. If we look at gravity, so like, come over this way. So if I just stand straight up like this, right? If I just from here to here, right? It's going to be heavy down here, right? So anytime this goes down, it's going to be heavy. When it gets down here, then it gets light on the way up. Gravity this way, it's, remember, being heaviest at the bottom, because this thing's going like this, it's staying within that like force vector that keeps everything heavy all the way through and all the way up. So that's the difference between the biggest difference with hack squat, with pendulum, is that it's constantly heavy from top to bottom, whereas everything else will only be heaviest at the bottom and then gradually get lighter at the top.
Hi, Johnny. Which is the best way to do things between going to failure on every set or going to failure on the last set?
Going to failure on the first set. Going to failure on the first set will set the tone for the rest of your exercise, that set exercise, and the rest of your day, because tension will be at its highest. It'll be easy to get the tension because your body's already been basically like gassed right out in a good way. And then it's easier to measure or gauge what an RPE or RIR is going to be, right? How can we say that a set is 2 or 3 reps in reserve if you haven't been to failure to even say what a rep, how much rep reserve you actually have? Make sense? Great.
Which workout split is best for muscle gain? Bro split or push-pull legs, abs?
The split, it's not the split. The split has nothing to do with like muscle growth. The split's gonna change depending on somebody's availability to actually train. So if I can only go to the gym 4 days a week, I can't do a push-pull legs. I can't train 6 days a week. It's how I structure my plan with the days that I have is going to determine how much muscle that I can actually gain in terms of like how well I can distribute doing, increasing volume in terms of how frequent I can train that muscle group. So the less days I have, the harder it will be to train each muscle group twice a week, even though you can do it easily in 4 days. But if you want to be able to do it, easily, being able to train 6 days a week will make it a lot easier to train every muscle group twice a week. And that's what we want if we want to build muscle.
Hi, how to get pecs? I've tried for years.
How to get what? How to get pecs? You got to try for more years. Like I said, I'm trying to tell everyone that I'm on this like fuck science tip right now. Not necessarily like I 100% needs, it has its place for sure. But I find that we're trying to find too many of an easy way or an answer to muscle gain. Your body does all the science for you. Your job is to do the basic monotonous shit, which means like, hey, you haven't gained, your chest hasn't grown yet, it's going to grow. You have to consistently do this shit over and over and over again. Now, number one, if you're not eating enough protein, 1 grams per body weight, or eating enough calories, resting enough, training hard enough, drinking enough water, if you're not doing those 5 things, you're not gonna gain, you're gonna make gaining any muscle in your chest extremely hard. So if you're not doing those things, you're not gonna see the results that you want to. If you're doing these things, great, then that means you need to do them over and over and over and over and over again. So at year 3, you're like, my chest is gaining a little bit, then you keep going. You're never gonna stop.
You natty or not, honestly?
I'm not on any steroids whatsoever. I'm not on any pro hormones. I'm not on steroids. I'm not on peptides. I'm not on SARMs. I'm not on testosterone. I'm not on pro hormones. I'm not on, I have to say all of them because if I don't say any of them, someone's like, well, you just say this one. So I cannot say that I'm natural. Why? Because I thought about it very heavily. Even a priest who's already lost his virginity decides, I'm going to be a priest. He can't say he's now a virgin because he hasn't had sex anymore. So once you've done it, you can't say you're natural. That's the only reason why I'm not saying I'm natural, but I am off of everything since October 2021. Fuck.
It's gonna be every time.
100%. I don't mind it too. It's fun.
Sweet spot for exercises per session.
Sweet spot exercise per session?
Yeah.
I would say 1 to 3. Oh, so exercises.
Yes, per session.
Oh yeah, I would say like 1 to 3 because the muscles only do about 1 to 3 things. If you think about it, right? So my chest primarily does shoulder adduction. It also does shoulder extension and shoulder flexion. So you could do, you can do 2 presses For two press, it would be like incline, incline, and then a fly. There's your 3 exercises. And then you can do like 4 sets of each. And then that will make 12 sets total, or you can do like 3 sets, which will make it 9. That's still sweet spot between like 3 to 12 hard sets. Yeah, biceps. Your bicep does like one primary thing, which is elbow flexion, right? It does supination as well too, but supination doesn't innately make your bicep bigger. The flexion makes your bicep bigger. The supination will kind of determine what heads has more say within the movement, if that makes any sense.
Obviously, you love tricep exercises. How do you feel about tricep bars?
Tricep bars?
Mm-hmm.
Tricep bars. I think you know. I think I know what that is. I think it's when you go this and go underneath. I think that's what it is. I mean, I'm all for it. If it's what I think it is, I've done them before, and I like them as like a finisher. But I always like looking at like exercises that give me the most bang for his buck, and then I'll move to some other exercises that are just more of like, you know, like a burnout exercise. Like, for instance, doing like sissies, or whatever for quads, but having that at the end and not like as one of my main exercises.
Can you go over the role of the pecs?
The roll. Okay, so your pec does this. All right. So if you think about everything that we do, your bicep, and your tricep only move this thing this way and this way. So when we talk about like your shoulders and your chest, the chest is moving this bone, right? It's moving this bone from up here. So your chest pulls this arm in like this, right? It also helps pull this arm in like this as well too. Gets a lot of assist from the anterior delt, and then it does this as well too. It helps pull it down, but that's more so the intercostal head of the intercostal heads or part of the chest. And then that's basically all it does. It does this. It primarily just does shoulder adduction, right? So if we load the shoulder, whether we load it like this or load it like this or load it like this, it's hitting primarily all chest.
Mike O, best leg exercise for building adductors.
Yeah. So specifically adduction stuff, like I like loading, if anything, a belt squat in like a very sumo type stance, or we can actually get some adduction, and then as well just literally using the adduction machine. Really get to use that. I love using it. I use it religiously with Taylor, and it filled the heck out of his glutes, his adductors in. But doing like a sumo stance type of a belt squat. Help out too. I gotta change that. I see you, Mike.
My weight fluctuates a lot, 89 to 92 kg, but I can't see less fat percentage. Should I try to go down to 84, or is that a bit too much?
82 to 84 kg?
89 to 92 kg.
89? That's like that's like 6-ish, 7, that's like 7-ish pounds. Fluctuate. Okay, so he's fluctuating at like 7 pounds.
Yeah.
And then what?
And then, but he can't see less body fat percentage. Should I try to go down to 84?
Yeah. Like, now fluctuating like 7 pounds is a lot to fluctuate. Like, I would say like 1 to 5 pounds, but like you're looking at almost 7-ish pounds. But yeah, definitely, if you're not seeing any definition at the current weight, definitely the answer would be to go down. And I would say like just do like a 5 to 10 pound goal, right? Just like, do a nice easy deficit where you're not stressing yourself out too much, maybe like a pound a week. That's like a 500 calorie deficit. I would say like, do that with your cardio and your food. So you don't have to dice out food all the time. So maybe 250 calories of like exercise on a treadmill or whatever, and then 250 calories of like actual food, and then go from there and then see what happens on a week-to-week basis.
If I'm training 4 days per week, do I need to do different set of exercises for
Nope.
different sessions, or stick to the same 3 to 4 exercises?
You can stick to the same 3 to 4 exercises all you want. Your body doesn't know the difference between you doing dumbbell curls or barbell curls, or the only difference you would know between, say, doing like machine press or barbell is the amount of tension it's going to get differently in the range of motion, but it does not know the difference between you doing any of the exercises. So you can literally stick to your go-to movements, and your body does a lot better at adjusting or like adapting to certain things when it's just doing one thing at a time. So when you're always like changing exercises and just trying to change it, there's always going to be this kind of like a learning curve, or this like point where you're not getting as much, I would say, stimulus. So just like keeping it the same is probably the easiest thing to do.
Vivi, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon where we live. Best way to isolate lower chest?
We can't isolate lower chest. We can't like completely isolate anything, but exercises that will like target those areas, I would say, like, dips are great to do. Cables from high to low, kind of like this, will help out. And you're still gonna work the chest. So like, and if you're doing it because there's fatter on there, you're not gonna lose any fat there, just get a deficit. But if you like anything we do, your chest is gonna work. And we can try to isolate, but we're not gonna get true isolation. Everything's gonna work. So.
What are you doing for your longevity, joints, injury prevention, etc.?
Omega-3 fatty acids, in either my food or actual like just pills. Omega Blue for Blue nutraceutical, link description below, actually. I eat a lot of fiber in the form of, like, I love blackberries, love blueberries, love raspberries, love strawberries. I have those like daily. That helps with inflammation and that's like my go-to fiber. I'm always eating. I get 100%. I'm always getting my proper amount of protein in. I do stuff to keep my stress levels down. I am very aware of when my body needs a break mentally from things, and I do a shit ton of things that make me happy. So I'll go to a movie by myself. I'll take my bike out. I'll go obviously do stuff with my kid. I'll make sure that I give myself time to enjoy life, and that 100% is, I would think that's my go-to. Yeah.
What's your favorite sport?
Favorite sport?
Mm-hmm.
Football and snowboarding. Football, snowboarding like this.
I can't get enough protein in. It's too expensive. Any other ways and recipes? Also, protein powder doesn't taste nice.
Okay, so you're not using IsoSmooth from Blue Nutraceuticals, go into the link description below. The flavors are absolutely amazing. Plus, it's a high quality protein as well too. So it's not amino spikes, no bullshit in it. It's high quality protein and it tastes absolutely amazing. So that's gonna be your go-to, right? Like, you're gonna wanna, and that's why we have protein shakes. So we can at least get our protein in, because it is hard for people to get, out, 150 grams of protein from like Whole Foods. It's not that easy. So that's why we want to get some protein shakes that are in there for sure.
Hi, Johnny. If I get rounding back from sitting too much, can I conclude that my chest is too weak or too strong, or any conclusion wrong entirely, and is it too much sitting?
It's like, yeah. So the I would put this up there with like, okay, fat spot fat reduction is about as on the same level as a myth as your back's rounded because of your chest, right? So your back is rounded because of your posture habits. So if you want your posture, even when you're sitting, you can sit. I sit for hours as well too, but I'm making sure that I'm like, my posture is still active. Plus, I make sure I stay up often. I gotta watch you tell me, get your ass up. So don't think that you need to train your chest more or your back more or something like that, and that's gonna innately make you do this. Doing this is literally you practicing doing that over and over and over again.
What are the best lower back exercises?
Lower back exercises for strength? I mean, hypers are good, but like, Romanian deadlifts are awesome because, we're basically doing just that. I would say Romanian deadlifts, deadlifts, sumo deadlifts are all amazing for your lower back, and you're getting like killing two birds with one stone. In order for you to go from here to here, the erector has got to work, And what better way to load your erectors than to get maybe a Romanian deadlift in there or a deadlift itself? Because that's where the actual back is being worked the most, because you're actually going through an actual range of motion.
Bench PR.
I did only 4 plates for 5 reps.
Hi, Johnny. Over the years, I've managed to get decent size arms, but at the detriment of my shoulders. What are some workouts that I can use to focus and isolate heavy on my shoulders?
Exercise for your shoulders, to build your shoulders, that's what we want. That's what he's
Yeah.
asking, basically.
Yeah, he needs to know the best way to focus and isolate heavily on his shoulders.
So I would say, if anything, if you can, machine and dumbbells are going to give you your best ability to load the side delts, because we're in this position here. So dumbbells allow, because if you look at it right now, remember the shoulder will move this bone, the chest moves this bone this way, the shoulder moves this bone this way, and this way. It moves it back, right? So we want to work the side delt a lot. Then if we're using barbell is going to work the front delt more, because we have to load it from the front. And there's that kind of, like, I would say, adduction thing happening holding the bar this way. When we're holding dumbbells allow us to kind of load the weight right on our side delt more than our front delt, so we can get all the way up and down. So like machine pressing and or dumbbells are great, and then doing some really good, accessory work in terms of, like, lateral raises with the cables will give you a lot of tension the whole way through. If you got a sweet Atlantis lateral raise machine at your gym, kick the shit out of it, meaning like just use it all of the time. And then making sure we're doing a lot of like rear delt exercise as well too. That's gonna help build your, I would say focus on like a good press, and then like really over exhausting the shit out of your lateral raises. Like lateral raises galore.
Can triple drop sets be overkill?
They can be when you're doing them set after set after set after set. Triple drop set are great to do, but if you're doing triple drop set for every exercise, yeah, it's like ridiculous.
Any tips for strengthening the rotator cuff to adjust shoulder pain? There's a lot of exercises out there, but I'm not sure where to start.
So if anything, it's about strengthening all the muscles around the rotator. That's gonna be your biggest help. So doing rotator cuff exercises like, there's one like this. Basically, we sit on the ground. We could do them this way, but basically get a dumbbell, right? And you get a dumbbell here, elbows like this, and we kind of let the arm come in slowly from here, and then pulling up. This is a really good exercise to help with strengthening the rotator, the rhomboids. Also getting on a bench as well too. You're gonna basically be like this, but you'll be basically leaned over on a bench, getting a dumbbell like this, pulling your shoulder up like this, and then rotating out, and then coming down slow, keeping your shoulder, still your scap retracted, and then lowering it. So retract scapula back up, and then kind of coming up like this. Those are really good ones. Those two, doing those are really good to do to help strengthening the muscles around the rotator. And then, take your time with exercises that give you the full range of motion, and picking a weight that just exhausts the muscle and doesn't put too much stress on the joint. And make sure you're warmed up enough before you start, and make sure you're healthy enough to even do it. So don't just try and push. I need to do shoulder exercises while you have agonizing pain in your shoulder, right? So agonizing pain is the body screaming at you that there's something wrong. If there's a little bit of pain, your body's being like, hey man, caution, something's going on, trying to tell you, you don't know yet, but just be cautious about it. So if you're in a lot of pain, don't try to be a hero. Go get it fixed, figured out, and then go from there.
Most effective chest exercises for girls in the gym.
All the same ones that the guys do, literally. But if you're a woman and you have breast implants, and you have the breast implants done under the boob, we don't want to do any type of bench pressing, right? Because we'll just basically push them underneath our armpits. So if you have breast implants and they're above the muscle, you go ahead and have some fun. Do all the same exercise that men do. It's the same shit. We have the exact same muscle. If anything, you do the same exercise men do, it's gonna lift your chest right up. So if you're worried about like a saggy chest, bam, chest lifted up. If you have breast implants under the muscle, We're gonna go shy away from doing pressing. With barbells, I would say if anything, you're gonna do flies with cables and not pressing.
Hammer curl or reverse curl?
Hammer.
What exercise should I do if you're recovering from a slap tear?
Oof. What exercise do you do? Anything that doesn't involve you doing anything with the muscle that you have, I mean, with the slap tear, and the shoulder. So don't do anything until that thing's fixed.
Is it possible to be stronger without eating a lot or in a caloric surplus?
Yes, powerlifters do it all the time. Now, again, I'm not saying that you can get stronger by being in a deficit because eventually it's going to work against you. But if you're eating maintenance, 100%, your body, you don't have to be in a surplus to get stronger. You need to be in a surplus to put on more muscle or to put on more weight in general, right? If you think about it, powerlifters, there are some in weight classes that are like 180 and they're lifting more than I've ever lifted. So just think of that.
Cardio recommendations for over 50 years old to burn fat.
Cardio recommendations, the piece of cardio equipment that you can stay on or the one you like the most. If you have knee problems, I would say walk, like getting on like a, say, elliptical, or I try to stay away from bikes only unless you need to be on a bike because of some kind of ailment. The reason why I say I don't like being on bikes, because if you're not really good at actually like increasing your wattage on a bike, you're only burning like half the amount of calories you can actually burn. So it's not gonna be as effective as, say, getting on like a treadmill or a stepper or a Stairmaster. If your knees are completely fine, get on a stepper, get on a Stairmaster, get on a stepper, stair mill. Any of those would be great. And just be consistent about it. 30 minutes minimum, start off with, and yeah.
I'm 51, doing calisthenics for nearly 4 years, 5 feet 4 inches. I love burpees and I burpees a lot. 4 days I do burpees, 2 days I do arms and chest, and on Fridays I do abs and core workout. Should I lift?
If your goal is to get better at all of your calisthenics things, do what you're doing. If your goal is to add more muscle and to change muscularity, you're going to have to add some resistance training in there, right? The only way you can progressive overload your calisthenic stuff is by you getting bigger and then having to pull more of your weight or adding weight or adding reps. And I'm sure if you're doing this for a bit, you've almost at the peak with rep wise. So yeah, you definitely have to go to the gym or use some weights here and there.
I really feel my shoulder muscles starting to grow by doing your video tutorials, but I'm really struggling to do chest exercises at the gym. They always fill up at the exercise machines at the gym. Oh, he's saying it's hard to find the equipment to do his chest exercises. So are you looking for alternatives? Like,
So
is that what you're asking?
like every piece of all chest movements are here's
Don't do chest on Monday.
here's how you do this, right? That's why I have my tier list, right? We go into the gym, we have our go-tos. We have a go-to movement. All right, you get in the gym, it's chest day, shoot. All right, we got to go with option 2. Option 2 is taken, shoot. We're going to go with option 3, we got to go option 3. Or your first exercise is taken, but your second exercise isn't. Then that's how we're starting today, right? So that's your way around it. Having some backup exercise or movements that you can do, or just like you got to start in your plan wherever your plan is. You got to do them that day. If we're just trying to build muscle, guys, like it doesn't really necessarily matter what you put in front. To be honest, like a little bit, but not as much.
After 5 years of natural training, is it still possible to gain muscle while maintaining or should I lean bulk?
5 years after training.
5 years of natural training, is it still possible to gain muscle while maintaining, or should I lean bulk?
Yes, you can. It's just funny. It's like after 5 years, I've been doing this for 30 years. So 100%. Like you need to it's 5 years you've been training. There's gonna be another 5 years more training, and another 5 years more training, another 5 years more training. You can add, I would say, calories if you're trying to really put on some mass, but your caloric surplus doesn't have to be 500 calories a day. It can literally be 150 to 200, 250 calories and just do that and like have like a you know, a bulk with a small increment of calories, not this massive amount.
Will we see Chef Boyar returning to the kitchen?
Yes. Is that Mike?
Yeah. What is the best forearm exercise?
I just,
Johnny.
what do you think, guys? You probably do enough. Probably do enough. I don't know. All right, come this way. These kids already got like massive forearms. Why? I should maybe switch up. My right side's way bigger than my. Okay. All right. Now, I'm not going to say that you need this machine because not everybody has a all-in-one forearm machine. Here's things you can do. If you can do any exercise that allows you to curl the weight, whether you're doing it like this or even just like this. Now that can be on like, you can literally do this on a seated cable row. You know, get your handles, put them down, and you can just literally flex like this to get a straight bar, cables, feet there, then basically pull like this, or you can go on the end of the cable and have it and pull it in like this. You can literally make this with a regular cable. You can also, if you're like, you know, at home and you got some kind of a rope and a plate, anything where you're kind of doing this. And you've probably seen this before, the old hockey stick and the rope and the weight at the end, and just doing this. That helps. But yeah, that's super easy, that kind of stuff.
Best back exercises for thickness.
Best back exercise for thickness?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say you're bent over, sorry. Right here. Now there's some other ones that are better, but this is great for thickness because again, the more we can get, if this machine, some machines are, Arsenal does, but some machines have you almost parallel, which is great because again, if you think about gravity, if I pull this off, boom, like gravity's pulling me down regardless. So there's tension on my traps, my rhomboids, my rear delts, pulling me down this way. So those thickness muscles that we want, the traps mainly, the mid trap, lower trap, are all gonna get a bunch of stimulus from here, as well as the lats getting the floor range because we're getting the lats to pull. Remember, the lats job is basically shoulder extension or shoulder adduction. So when I'm bent over, my lats are pulling my arm like this. The reason why you see this part is because the biceps help pull the weight, but again, my job or the lat's job is to pull this arm to the side of the body like this. So ways I can load it, well, here's the biggest way you can load it this way. That gets my traps, right? And my lats all in one. One of my favorite ones to do is this. Yoink. Pulling in, squeezing, all the bottom, and then literally folding over and getting your traps, your scapulas or your shoulder blades open right up, stretching them out, and then pulling in, stretching them all the way out and pulling in. Whoa.
If you say 9 to 12 hard sets per workout, how do you calculate drop sets and rest pause sets into this?
So that's part of your, if your hard set is going to be exactly that. Regardless if you paint your hard set with a set intensifier or it's just like a straight set, you're counting your hard set. So if you have a set of, a triple drop set, that should be hard. Like if you're doing a triple drop set and it's not hard, then what the fuck? But right, get what I'm saying? So if I have a rest pause set, that's a set intensifier. It's supposed to intensify your straight set. So any kind of set intensifier you use is going to automatically, by default, be a hard set. So if you do, say, 12 hard sets in your day, and 4 of those sets were rest pause, myo match, drop set or a rest or something, those are 4 hard sets. Those are included with every other hard set.
Are upright rows good for the rear delts?
Not as much. Depends. They are if you're doing, say, like, if you're doing the cable ones, where you're kind of doing this and back, those would help a bit, but not as much. If you do like dumbbell. If you want like rear delt stuff, then we want to like pull this arm back like this, mainly. Or, you know, same with like face pulls. Face pulls are basically your arm doing this, pulling this arm, this bone back.
Hey Johnny, my friend was holding a ball in between his legs for squats. Wouldn't you want to do the opposite with
Yes.
something like a band
Yes,
and push them apart?
you definitely don't. If anything, you want to be putting pressure. You know, you want to be pulling your leg out, not pulling your leg in. That is absolutely just tell your boy, nah.
I am training for a marathon. I lost a fair bit of muscle when I did my last one. Is it possible to minimize muscle loss while training for a long distance run?
Yeah, making sure it's a calorie balance thing, right? So you gotta make, if you're training for a marathon, you just gotta make sure that you're getting enough calories in to replace the amount of calories you're losing by running, and that's it, right? That's just basically it. Making sure you're eating enough carbs, I would say, before your run. You want carbs, you know, a lot of glucose. I always say, like, even when you're running, having those gel packs, those carb gel packs while you're there, that have, I think they're maybe somewhere like 500 calories. Having some of those when you're running will help with restoring glycogen and energy while you're running, but as well as just like keeping that weight on you.
I'm 57 years old and out of shape. I used to work out years ago. What should I do now to start getting back into it?
Okay, so I'm doing a video. It's a really important video that I've already recorded. We're talking about like the myth that once you get older, things start to decline. It is not a myth. We all know it's not a myth, but it's 100% a process that happens to all of us. Our hormones start to decline. Our protein, ability, muscle protein synthesis declines. Our ability to adapt to training stimulus starts to decline. Now, it doesn't mean it puts a halt to things. It just means that if you're not doing anything, it gets exacerbated. So if you're just starting your fitness journey again, then you're kind of working. You're in an uphill battle in a sense. So a few things we want to make sure we're doing. You need to eat at least 1 to 1 grams of protein per body weight. Why? Because that's enough. That's going to cover all basics in terms of if you're in a diet or you're in an older demographic where muscle protein synthesis is a lot harder, then we do want to eat that. That's enough, and we'll take care of that. We want to make sure we're eating enough, omega high rich foods and antioxidants, because inflammation will be a lot more, will happen a little more often because of things that are declining. And then training. Your training stimulus needs to be fucking hard. Now, what do I mean by hard? Hard doesn't mean that you need to do 1 rep max. Hard means that intensity and effort is at its max. Meaning, like, every set should be fighting the bar. You should be literally a couple reps from failure every single time you train. That doesn't mean you put on a weight that you cannot achieve. That doesn't mean you pick weight that you can just so you can achieve it. That means you pick a weight and you work really hard, that at some point of the set, there's a form breakdown because your ability to have a sustainable tempo is not as good anymore because you're getting tired. Lactic acid is being built up. It's getting progressively harder. You need to train hard. That's all I'm saying. Do that over and over and over again, as well as making sure we're resting and doing things for mental health. That's going to help you build more muscle a lot faster, a lot more optimal. If you don't do those things, I'm telling you right now, and I'm not trying to blow smoke in anyone's ass or scare anybody, if you do not train hard enough, you do not eat enough protein, you do not rest, you do not do things for your mental health in terms of like cortisol, like stress, you are going to see minimal progress. Minimal. So it's imperative that you do those things. It's a non-negotiable. If you're like, Johnny, I want to build muscle, then it's like, this is what you should do. And once you know what you should be doing, then to you, it's a non-negotiable. It's like, all right, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I do this if I want to build muscle.
I've been training for a year and have gained a little bit of muscle, but no definition because I'm still kind of fat. Can I gain muscle and lose fat simultaneously, and how?
Yes, you can lose fat and gain muscle. You want to make sure that you're in your deficit Like maybe your body's going to be in the surplus, your calories will be in the deficit. We want to make sure we're eating enough protein, same thing, 100 grams per body weight. Make sure we're training hard. Your fat loss goal, fat loss should be like, yeah, you want to lose fat, but like your number one goal, everybody's number one goal should be to build muscle and to make that muscle strong. And then everything else comes after that, right? Because if you do those things, you're going to end up obviously stronger. You're going to want to see the muscle once you actually see progress happening. Because if we're just focusing on how to lose fat, then most of the time that happens, you lose fat, but then you also lose muscle. So your number one goal should be, I need to build muscle right fucking now. And we're going to make sure we're training hard. We're going to make sure we eat enough protein. If we're in a deficit, we're not in an extreme deficit. I always say like start at maintenance, because if anyone's going to eat maintenance right now, I could probably guarantee you that maintenance might be for some people an actual deficit. And then start there slowly, and then make sure your training is at your performance and output is high.
We're at time, but we're going to do a couple more. What do you think of the 5x5 program?
For 5x5 program.
Yeah.
What, like training like 5 reps, 5 sets of 5?
I think so.
I mean, it's like, it all depends what 5 sets of 5 look like. Now, I've done like, say like cluster sets where the clusters you have 5s and whatnot, but it's also like, the rep doesn't matter. It's a tempo. I can do a 5x5, and my 5x5 is just this, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then your load better be heavy as hell, and this better be in some kind of a strength phase. But if your 5x5 is boom, 1001, 1002, 1003, stretch, boom, 1001, 1002, then your set is gonna be a long 5 reps, which is really good for building muscle. But again, it's gonna peak out because you're only doing 5 reps. So you're trying to maximize muscle, muscle hypertrophy, then you wanna do something that's a longer set. And 5x5 just won't cut it.
Hi, Johnny. In your last shoulder video, you said your go-to for lateral raise is a standing lateral raise machine. Can you explain how to properly do it and set up?
All right. So if you had this machine or any machine like it, you want to make sure that these are like high enough, right? You don't want to be so low that these are like this, right? And you don't want this thing to be so low, like that doesn't work, right? So I want to make sure it's like high enough so it's like sitting at my hands. Right now it's not. Whoa. So I'm gonna raise this so right there, right? And then when I start this, I'm gonna start with tension already on, right? So if I'm here, here's no tension, look at my shoulder. Now my chest is up, and now I'm gonna open this right away. Now there's already tension on my delts. And then we're all the way up to here. Here's high enough. You can go here if you want, but here is where tension is max, and then controlling it down while keeping your chest up. Don't fold yourself in. Don't do this, start doing these things. Just keep your chest up, right? Everything's gonna stay and maintain like this posture, and then we're opening up and keeping your arms straight. We don't want these things doing this. We don't want this. We want from here, up, controlling it, chest stays up. All the way through, right down.
That's it.
One more because we started a little early. We'll walk this way.
Okay. Tips on stress management.
Number one, I'll give you some just from my experience. Stress for me is very apparent, very obvious when I don't get enough sleep. So number one, make sure you're getting enough sleep, and be aware of your sleep and how it makes you feel, right? So like if you track your sleep, this is the only reason why I figured this out was because I literally was tracking my sleep, and then I'd be like, oh shoot, this is day 4 of only getting 5 hours, and then my mental would be like, I have to manage, things would just be really dark, right? Like in terms of if there is a little bit of a problem, it's a big problem. So number one is sleep. 2, schedule non-negotiable things that you do for yourself or by yourself. So what I mean by like for yourself or by yourself is like, if for me going to the movies is I love movies. I love going to the movie. I go to the movie by myself, or I might go with somebody. But regardless, that thing, that event for me, is a really good de-stressor for me. That as well as like, or by myself is like I love playing the piano. That's something I do. I like DJing, like music stuff for me. I can do by myself. So do those things, at least those things, for sure, and that'll help you manage your stress. A lot of times people's stress is they're not giving themselves enough of enough me time or enough of a break away from consistently working and thinking about something. That's it.
That's it.
Well, guys, I enjoyed the chat again. For more of this, join my school group. Link in the description below, and all other things as well too. Link in the description below. Take benefit of all those great things. Anyway, guys, until next time, you know what it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. Oh, wait. Actually, Anaheim, at the Fit Expo. Head over to the Fit Expo in Anaheim, August 17th, 18th. I will be at booth 752. I'll be at that booth. Either way, meet me down there. Come by the booth, say what's up, get a picture, all the good stuff. And yeah, anyway, keep dream chasing.